Right, greetings everybody and welcome to another video with me, Umbra Rays, and today we're talking about Wotv stuff. I'm on this screen because it's the screen I guess I was on when I decided to record this video. And yeah, today I want to talk about the FF10-2 collaboration, which, judging from it, I mean, we got a lot of people watching the 5th year anniversary recap, and I'm sure everybody has an opinion about whether or not they think it's good, bad, or otherwise, or they think it's boring or exciting. I mean, a lot of people, just thanks for watching the actual video. Thanks for doing all of that. But overall, it seems like there isn't that much negativity, and I wanted to first of all talk a little bit about Final Fantasy X-2, because that was a game I was quite excited for after Final Fantasy X. Like, I really liked Final Fantasy X, and playing through it back in the day, I thought it was a really enjoyable game. And when 10-2 was announced, I was all for it. And definitely as a teenage boy growing up, that game does something. It really, really does, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true. Like, it just is. Like, and here's the thing. I'm not here to say that it is the best Final Fantasy ever by any means, or not anywhere close to one of my favorites, but it had a really cool battle system. I really liked its take on the job system, which other Final Fantasies had. There was a lot that I did like about 10-2, and quite frankly, as some people have pointed out, it's a good excuse to get specific characters in the game and a upgrade for a very popular character, which is Yuna. No matter what you think, like from the global perspective, JP is making more money, but the JP market kind of matters more, and it's interesting because 10 is incredibly popular in Japan, and 10-2, not so much. So, like, when all of this collaboration is said and done, more importantly, when the month of November is done, I'm going to be very interested to see the sensory tower data and whether or not it was a major uptick in sales. Because if you remember, Advent Children was met with a lot of cynicism because it was just more Final Fantasy VII, and people were, pretty down on it when it was announced last year, myself kind of included, even though, it's just like, it's one of those bittersweet things. Or was Advent Children at the 0.5 anniversary? It's all blurring together. Yeah, I was at the 0.5 anniversary. Sorry. But anyway, people were cynical about that one. But it was a pretty big uptick in sales for the game, and I'm curious to see what 10-2 will do for it. Okay, so I talked a little bit about my history with it. I played through the game a long time ago. I recently tried to replay through it, and I just kind of got stuck. I think I got started with the Final Fantasy X randomizer instead, and just went through that. Time is limited, so is money. For me. So let's talk about these characters now, because I've talked about that. I think we can talk about YRP, starting off with why, and answering the question of whether or not, like, what are my impressions of these characters, and what do I think is going to be good for people who are looking to potentially get one of the characters and seriously build one of these characters. Well, let's start off with Yuna, the obvious one, the light element, and really, light at this point is light and dark, is the major combination, with like Cypher being combined with light elemental characters to potentially fill out the void and be a multi-elemental team, and works essentially really well together. Yuna's very obvious answers would be the new version of Lilith. It would be especially Light Veritas, who's also a ranged character but hasn't been fully built for the majority of JP players by the time Yuna is out, so that's kind of a little bit limiting. There's also the new version of Jaden, which might end up being really good. But that to me is fairly obvious. Like, any gun-based VC group is potentially going to be good with Yuna. but I think you just want characters that are long range for this character. Like a long range combination should be more than capable enough to see Yuna actually be really good. And I also want to say that I think that Yuna might be the one that a lot of people will want to go with, because she seems like, well, kind of just a range version of Bart's, and for whatever reason, I mean, might be just historical events of the game influencing my decision-making opinion, but I do think that being a light elemental character, a range character, and a character with follow-up attacks, it sounds a lot like Bart's, who is really good for one of those incredibly difficult trials. And guess what? Dark Veritas is coming, and he is going to be weak to light, and if he's weak to light ranged, then yeah, it is a trial that is specifically designed for Yuna. So if you want to get in on the lottery and potentially have an easy time, well, Globalers, you'll have the advantage of waiting to hear what happens on JP and whether or not it's good. But my kind of personal bet is that Yuna is going to be the one to get. Personally, Yuna's kind of my favorite. I do love Lara Croft here with Twin Pistols. Twin Pistols, I don't know why, I just always love it. But despite what a lot of people think, I actually really like the design of Yuna in 10-2. Like, I like the outfit. It looks really, really good. It's very stylish. It's very identifiable. And I don't know, I just really, really dig it for whatever reason. It's pretty cool. So Yuna is kind of, for me personally, my front runner of a gacha character that I would want from 10-2, because I do like Yuna. She was a summoner originally, now she's a gunner. It's basically two different things that I like for different reasons. All she really needs is a really big bow, and she would, just check a lot of boxes. But anyway, Yuna, I am pretty interested in personally. I think that she will be quite valuable in the Dark Veritas, and I can see a lot of different teams. Some recommended VCs are probably the A2 VC. What else? Some more permanent ones to do around Melnia when she came out. And I do expect some of the new 10-2 vision cards potentially really make some good synergies out there. But with the new version of Jaden, the Ice Jaden that is coming out, that could be a 1-2 punch for range characters very quickly to become the meta. So please, I think this is going to be one to really keep an eye on, but will not truly shine until the mid-November update, which will be around the 14th or 15th. So stay tuned for that one. All right. Now let's talk about Paine. And to me, Paine is incredibly obvious for being the best collaboration character, in the sense that I think almost everyone can benefit from her. In terms of the characters that she will do really well with, well, I mean, great swords. Great swords just have kind of been historically really good, and Paine might bring enough to really push great swords, multi-elemental great swords back in the top, because Cloud has stayed up there for a while, and June isn't exactly a slouch, but you could, we still haven't seen everything that the anniversary potentially has. There could be some more great swords in the near future that could really benefit Paine. But then, just talking as a dark element, I did touch on the idea that Dark Veritas in combination with this, plus a lot of Dark Elemental VCs, will just be good for any free-to-player. You combine this with Dark Veritas, providing that he gets his updates relatively quickly, he's pretty easy for people to get at max, to the point that he is on JP right now. I think that's just going to be really good. Of course, a lot of the Dark VCs that currently exist are readily available. Angela users will also be quite happy, and I think Cypher users will also be able to pair this. There's a lot of great sword potential here, and a lot of different avenues too, with multiple VCs recently that have supported great sword and quite to great effect. But from there, I mean, there's also the potential of sticking around with some other groups, such as Exia, Luciel, and not only Luciel, but Sadali's new version. It's not unheard of because the great swords do have some combinations, and Paine might have enough benefits to kind of work there. I'm curious because this will be such an accessible character. She'll be used for events and event bonuses, which means that probably building her will just be really, really solid, but Dark is one of the most free-to-play friendly elements. That personally, she's not the one that I want the most because I'll essentially get her, but I am quite interested in building her. Because I think that she will have a lot of property going forward in just being useful for a good long time. Either way, she's not, you don't need to gotcha her, so that's a huge plus in my book. And then last, Rikku. Alright, and Rikku is a bit of a wild card to me. Out of all the characters that we are getting that have been announced so far, this is one of the ones that I feel is going to be probably the biggest coin toss in the air. Like, you look at it, and Earth, I mean, is the most basic thing. And interestingly, like, Earth evasion might actually be good enough. You might be putting her with Sadali. But the combination of this character's kit looking quite scary for the evasive properties, either as a solo evasion character or as a full evasion team, doesn't scare me as much as having the access to status effects with that. But the interesting combination that is happening with the vision cards, where Dagger and Ninja Sword is being combined together, does have some interesting properties going forward, because it does change effectively two very misaligned groups which have not gotten a ton of support either in character or vision cards to potentially be a little bit of a surge for them, where this character can now fit into many more types of parties with different vision cards. And to that combination, I mean, there's the FF9 vision cards, there is a bunch of new holo vision cards, including like Sildra, the Ramada vision card, which incidentally also puts this character as an Earth Elemental character to potentially be put with the new version of Ramada, and that is quite interesting. As a Earth Elemental character, she can potentially have avenues into Ice with Gilgamesh, which could be quite scary because Gilgamesh was being run with Sephiroth, where Sephiroth had just enough evasion to be scary, with a scary status effect. If it sounds familiar, it should. Rikku could actually be a better version of AC Sephiroth in terms of a evasion splash character. So Gilgamesh and Rikku might be another avenue forward for this character. It's interesting, we can pair this character with Earth, Lightning, Water. There is a lot. And we still have a couple of VCs which could also add to this from the Final Fantasy X-2 event. Although cards like YRP card as well as other cards, I think will benefit more from like the YRP team. So I mean, there is a lot of stuff we just don't know yet, and I didn't want this video to be too long. But just throwing some ideas of possible character combinations out there. We have a slew of characters that can be paired off with each of these three new characters. But something tells me that the combination of Yuna plus the new version of Jada might be the thing that comes out on top the most. Even if Yuna is coming first, she's an incredibly popular character. I think there's a lot of interest in making her and Rikku quite appealing and strong, but I think Yuna will get the last laugh because Ice Jaden comes after Rikku and therefore should be the strongest character, also with the benefit of being Wotv and an anniversary character, and we have seen those been historically quite strong. So those are my thoughts. We will have more details as time gets closer, but thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.